So checking these beehives, it's late in the day, February 15th. It's about 70 degrees outside right now, and you can see that these bees are just barely moving. Like right here in the center, about a third of the way down, now centered, you can see those bees are starting to move a little bit more, but these bees are starving. I'm going to feed them a little bit of light sugar syrup and see if I can get them moving around, because in the colder weather they'll freeze to death. They don't have the food reserves, they don't have any food, and so they won't be able to keep warm. You can see the queen right there. She's one of last year's queens. She's marked. She was moving just a little bit. She's alive, but barely. Put a little, just dribbled a little bit of this light sugar syrup, just dripping it off my fingers in front of them. I'm gonna see if that will do anything. You can see the queen moving around ever so slowly. So on the weather on this kind of day, this is the kind of activity that you can expect when it's 70 degrees outside. The bees are warm. They're out collecting nectar and pollen. So they're doing a lot of stuff right now. This is a hive that was split in the middle of the summer. I did not feed it quite enough, obviously. So we'll see how it goes. I think she's starting to drink a little bit of that syrup, and so we'll see how they do in a minute. I'll take a frame of honey, capped honey from another hive, and a little bit of pollen, and see if they'll start doing a little something. You never know, but I think this hive is a lost cause. Right now, I'm just hoping to keep it alive, as much as a test as anything. So I'm putting this frame in this hive that was showing very little activity. They're already moving around a little bit more after I gave them that syrup, but you can see the pollen here inside that frame, so hopefully they'll have plenty of reserves. You can see nectar in there, and then capped honey on the outside. And this frame over here has some more pollen and honey there as well. So hopefully they'll have some resources to keep warm with the honey and the little bit of nectar that's there, and the pollen hopefully will give them the protein they need, and maybe, just maybe, start raising brood, although I doubt they'll start raising brood just yet. I'm going to check the weather. I may put a thing of capped brood in here that's starting to hatch if I can find one, but that's kind of risky. That's got a pretty good chance of failing, but we'll see. So yesterday afternoon, I found these bees almost starving. You can already see there's a good bit of activity here. There's not much. This isn't the smartest thing I've ever done. But there really aren't any bees going in and out of the entrance of the hive, but at least they are moving around a little bit. So I'm going to pull this up. They're over on this frame now. They're over on this frame now, which is the frame that had the honey that I added to the hive and a little bit of pollen. So we'll take a look at them and see how they're doing. Oh yeah, that buzzing aggravated them. But yeah, so they've uncapped some of this honey right here at the top and have been eating on it. A couple cells that are empty. And then there's all this pollen over here. I'll be surprised if they do a whole lot with it just yet. I've added the pollen so that when they warm up, if they are comfortable with it, they can start raising brood, although I'd be surprised if they start raising brood anytime soon. I do not see the queen in here just yet. If there were more bees in here, I would think that I've missed her. And that's entirely possible. But I don't think that's the case. I'm going to put my inner cover back on for them. And then set another deep hive body here and put a feeder on. For those of you wondering what kind of feeder I'm using, this is just a 1 gallon pail feeder. And I usually just put these 1 gallon feeders on top of a migratory cover with holes in it. But I like this, I'm hoping that the heat coming right off that cluster will help keep the syrup warm for later in the day, for earlier in the day. And then I want to make sure that other bees do not rob. Anyway, I'll come back. Hopefully I just missed the queen. I'll come back in a few days and see what's happening with them. Hey, it's Rob from Dowdle Family Farms. It's about 5 days after I first saw this honeybee hive that was starving. I could not find the queen the other day. There she is. She's marked. And fed them. I've given them a little bit weaker than 1-to-1 sugar syrup. So it's February 20th. The honeybees are moving around and active. The queen is moving around really well. She has actually been laying but it was this temperature and they just were not moving at all. Like I say, so I've got a frame of capped brood here that I'm going to put in this hive. It may create problems. There's some young brood that I don't think there are enough bees here in this hive to keep warm. But that capped brood, if it hatches here pretty soon, will increase the population of these bees. We should have some warmer weather. And I'm hoping that it will give this hive a boost. I'll check it back in a week or so. And we've got some rain coming for several days. There's food in here and they'll still get some feed. I'm hoping that that hatched capped brood will allow this hive of bees to have enough population to raise their own brood. The queen is in there, but there's just not a whole lot of bees. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll check back in a few days. So this is the capped brood that I put in that starving hive. It's been about a week. The capped brood has hatched. A good bit of it has hatched. And if you look, you can see little fuzzy newborn bees like that one. And what is particularly interesting is that within the center of these cells, I don't think I can get it on the camera, but the queen has come back and laid eggs inside the center of this frame of capped brood. So this hive is going to be doing really, really well. Really excited. I think it's going to survive and do extremely well. At this point, I don't think I need to feed it. It's bringing in some nectar. You can see the nectar and pollen up in here. I'm going to check it out and see what else is in the hive. So I just checked one of my other hives. It had bacoodles of brood. It's February. So sorry, it's March 1st. And they had lots of capped brood, lots of drones. So I brought one of the two of the frames of capped brood over here. That hive already has drones hatching. In fact, you can see it's got some drone cells in here. That's okay. There's a little bit of capped brood on this side and some on that side. It's a little patchy. It'll be interesting to see what that queen does this year in that hive number 4. But anyway, I'm placing these 2 frames of capped brood in this hive, along with the little bit of captive brood and the eggs that other queen had been laying. You see, this is for March 1st, this is a really good frame of captive brood. Some of them are starting to hatch just a little bit. Some of them are covered up. But this will give this hive, bolster its strength, and there'll be a lot of nurse bees to take care of more brood, so the queen in this hive can start laying much more abundantly. I took the bottom box off. There's no need for it to be there. It's just taking up space, and I can use those frames somewhere else. So we've got 3 frames with brood on them, and then 2 frames full of drawn comb and some more. So this hive should be in good shape. In 2 or 3 weeks, this hive is done really, really well. This is why I like having more than just one hive. If you're a beekeeper and you have 2 hives, it's great. One hive, you can compare how the two do. You can also draw resources. If one's stronger, you can draw resources like captive brood to help another one that's struggling. Anyway, I'm going to put it back together, and overall I'd say this is a really success from a hive that was once starving and is now doing pretty well.